if we've got the quorum, then let's,
Go ahead, we're just recording.
so I just got some message that popped up about the meeting being recorded, which I assumed was gonna be the case, but anyway, so let's get the meeting, called to order. This is the, Green Bay Housing Authority meeting for Thursday, September 16, 2021. And you have the agenda in front of you that's been published and posted. And we've got roll call, and I understand that we do have a quorum to get started. So we'll move on to item C, approval of the agenda. And again, you have that before you. Are there any additions or modifications to the current agenda?
Motion,
Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to approve.
motion to approve.
We have a motion and I will second. We have a motion and a second. Any additions or corrections or again, modifications to the agenda? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No opposition, motion carries. Agenda is approved. Moving on to item D, approval of the minutes. Is there a motion? Again, you have those in your packet. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from the August 19, 2021 meeting of the Housing Authority?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any additions or corrections to those minutes? Hearing none, all in favor of approval of the minutes signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. So now we are on to the item which I believe requires us to wait for Terry. Is that
No,
correct?
yeah, that's correct. If you want to go to number 2, I'll try calling her again. My question
Okay.
is, if I get her on speakerphone, can she participate in the meeting?
That, to my knowledge, depends on. I just sat through this conference about 2 weeks ago at the Municipal Attorneys Conference dealing with this issue, and I believe the answer is yes, that she can do that. The open meeting laws have been changed by the state during this COVID stuff, so that's why we can have Zoom meetings and they count and that kind of stuff. So I believe that she can, because it would be no different, to my knowledge, it would be no different than if somebody was connected on the Zoom and they just didn't, they did not do the video part. They just did they're calling in by phone. So so if you can get her by phone, that would be fine.
Why don't you take up item number 2 and then I'll try to get her.
All right.
And we'll get in. How about that?
We'll go on under item E, we'll go to item number 2, which is consideration with possible action on approval of the amended GBHA operating budget and budget amendment resolution number 2021-05 for fiscal year beginning July 1, 2021. And I believe this is your call here, Stephanie.
Yep. So what we are doing is we're just simply moving some money out of wages into our snow removal category, due to having no staff in place for July and most of August. We have a little bit of savings there. And Jamie was looking to continue to contract out our snow removal for Mason Manor. So just to make sure that we don't go over budget in that line item, we're just moving some money. There's no actual increase to the budget. It's simply just a transfer from one area to the next, which by HUD regulations, I need to get amended.
Okay. And we've done this before, to my knowledge, so I will make a motion to approve budget amendment resolution number 2021-05. Is there a second?
I second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further questions for Stephanie regarding this sort of line item change here? All right, hearing none, all in favor of approval of the resolution signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you very much. And I think we're moving a little too quick here. Cheryl hasn't caught up with this yet, so,
I saw Terry poked in and then poked off.
oh,
Court, how many strokes are you in, buddy? Like, what hole are we on?
oh, he's muted.
Muted.
That way we don't hear, that way we won't hear any expletives if he misses it or shanks it.
I have,
Nicole.
we have a speakerphone. So,
I apologize, you guys, for, I didn't have intention of hopping on at 10:30, but I'm having a crazy one, but I'm here now.
look, that's all that matters, Terry. Thank you.
You bet.
We're on the item now, so we could just go ahead
Okay.
with,
All right, I will call then item E1, consideration with possible action on preliminary resolution 2021-04 relating to a proposed student housing project of the Authority of the City of Green Bay, Wisconsin, in the University of Wisconsin Green Bay campus area, the financing thereof, and other details relating thereto. So
I had to put it that way on the agenda, so.
I know. I don't
Okay.
mind reading it.
So this project, we were approached by University Village Housing Inc., who are interested in doing some dormitories on the UWGB campus. Now, we've worked with this group multiple times in the past on revenue bonds. They like to work with the Housing Authority to issue revenue bonds to construct these dorms. And in your packet, there was some information on this. The first phase, the first building they're looking at is 232 bed dormitory projects. And then I think the thought is that potentially in 3 to 5 years, there would be another wing that will be built on for another 200 plus rooms, I think. So it's a very large project. I'm telling you, Steve Cerubis is the architect for this project.
Yeah.
He's online, which is why he can't vote on this item, ultimately. Court Condon and Kelly Franz are here as well. If there are any questions, we've done this in the past and provided the bond financing for these projects. So it's worked. I mean, I think it's worked out very well, and it's a great way for us to get housing on campus, especially for students who are low income and are struggling with that. So with that, if you want to open the floor for any questions,
I
Ellen?
will do it. Is there a motion to open the floor?
I just want to poke in and say, these are my clients, guys. You just tell them how beautiful it is, all that stuff, right? Like
Yeah. All right, so I again, because of our quorum situation, I'll make the motion to open the floor. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor of opening the floor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Motion carries. Well, any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. So Kelly and Court, the floor is open. And Steve, why don't you kind of give us the background of why Kelly and Court are joining us today?
Well, thanks, Bill.
I'll throw it back to you.
Yeah, so a good portion of the housing on campus is not actually owned by campus. It's owned by Avhai, a lot of which was built under the bonds of the Housing Authority back when Keith Pamprin was sort of the guy. It's a nice opportunity to get some potentially lower cost housing available for the students. So as Cheryl mentioned, it's a 232 bed residence hall. It'd be suite style residence hall for shared beds with future expansion of 180 to 200 more beds on what would be a second phase within the next few years, hopefully. I saw a couple questions from Sandy earlier today. She wanted to make sure that accessibility was in the forefront. All of the suites are accessible or compatible to be accessible. So they all have roll-in showers, they all have clear floor space and the coefficient of friction that she likes to watch for. I know that was something she and I talked about pretty early as I started working with Avhai to make sure that that was part of the program. I think construction is intended to start kind of spring of next year and be finished and open and ready for fall of 24. Yeah, so I think Cheryl circulated a bunch of imagery, indoor and outdoor, earlier today, might have been yesterday, hard to keep track of my inbox. I did draw those myself and I hope you like them. Okay, Kelly, Court, I got us covered pretty well there? Anything you want to sneak in?
I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
I'm sure.
Just so they know, Avhai is a nonprofit organization that was started actually about 26, 30 years ago for the purpose of building, because the state wouldn't build any more dorms for the university. So it's a nonprofit. And it serves, I think we have about 26 to 38% are meet the qualifications of HUD for low-income housing. And this housing building, if it gets built, we don't know what the costs, the way they are today, would replace dorms that are presently owned by the state of Wisconsin, which are deemed to be, they're going to tear them down. So that's a little background information.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just a minor correction to Court. Avhai came to be in 1984. So almost 40, 38, 37 years ago. So it's
So, and just, Steve and Kelly and guys, you're referring to, is that an acronym for University Village Housing Incorporated?
yes. And over the years, Avhai's constructed, I believe it's 16 residence halls on campus.
Yeah, 17. Yep.
17.
I think all of which at the same sort of path, bonded by the housing authority, right?
Yes.
All right, so the screen come up with your picks.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, there you
Yes.
go. This is what it's proposed to look like.
Yeah, and as Steve mentioned, this kind of goes back, way back with these campus housing things back to the Keith Pamperin days. And I've been on the Housing Authority since I think 99 and have been involved in a number of these that have taken place since then. And we've always, as the Housing Authority, always supported this because it's an excellent opportunity for us to provide housing, low-income housing, and housing for the students. It's a great great use of our resources and a big help to the campus, which is important to this city. So I'm certainly fully in favor of doing whatever we can to help out. I know Cheryl, and some of the emails that we've gone back and forth on this, the city attorney's office had a chance to look at this. Can you kind of give us an update of where they came on this?
I had there, because there's actually two documents we're dealing with. There's an amendment, a 7th amendment to a mortgage, because there's going to be some kind of a land swap. And then there's also a resolution that will initiate, which really the Housing Authority will be going out for RFP to find a developer to do this project. So we may have other applicants, but we're pretty confident that, is it UVB? Is that what you're saying? Is that our?
Yes.
It's a new acronym. I'm excited as a government employee. I can add one to my list, right? So there's a lot of processes to it, but I went over this with Vanessa and Joanna Unger from the law department. They've reviewed everything. In fact, Vanessa, I think, reviewed the prior 6 amendments or mortgages as well. So very thoroughly looked through it. We also had some questions to make sure the RFP process was proper within the city forum of how we do that. And Attorney Chavez as well said that that was okay, the way that we're going through the RFP process. So we're all fine on our end. And I would say to you as the executive director, of course, I worked, Keith was my boss for many, many years. So I kind of backhandedly knew about these projects over the past years, and they really are, that's a great way for, I think, the Housing Authority to get involved in creating new units. It also will provide a revenue stream to the Housing Authority for the bonding, which is a good thing for us as well. So we can use that to assist other housing initiatives we have. So fully support this project.
All right. So I believe we need a motion to approve the
Thanks for-
resolution.
I think you probably need to close the floor first.
Yes, yes, but our next step procedurally, and then looking at the documents, I see they're dated for today's date. So as soon as the meeting is over, I will wander down to your office, Cheryl, and if you leave them out at the counter up at front, I'll stop and sign them today so that we have all the dates right and everything. So,
Okay.
right. So is there anything else from the floor before we move to close? All right, I will make a motion to close the floor. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Otherwise, all in favor of closing the floor, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. The floor is closed. Now, I'll actually make the motion to approve the preliminary resolution 2021-042, a proposed student housing project of the Housing Authority of the City of Green Bay in the University of Wisconsin campus area. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that motion.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Before a vote, is there any further discussion on this? Anybody have any questions for anybody? No, hearing none. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. And I believe we are right done with this, so Court can go back to his golf game. Enjoy the nice weather, Court. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Bill, and thanks for the nice words. You and Cheryl, I think it's going to be a great thing for the university. So
Yes. Make sure you invite us to the open house.
we will.
We will.
Well,
All right.
don't worry. Okay,
We're gonna walk around and critique Steve's work.
right. Hopefully, COVID will be gone by fall of 2023.
Yes, yes. All right, very good. Thank you much.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Bye. All right, moving on to
For the record,
next item F.
Chairman, for the record, Terry has left the meeting. So now
Okay.
the original quorum.
All right, so, and Steve is
Back on.
rejoined us as an active member.
Thank you.
Did you,
All right.
did you vote? Did you abstain your vote?
I didn't vote. I abstained my
Yeah,
vote.
so we'll just note it in the record that he abstained because he was not participating.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
all right. So moving on to item F, informational GBHA bills. They're in your packet. Stephanie?
Nothing real out of the ordinary on them. Does anyone have any questions?
Not for me. All right. And I think that covers that one. Then we move on to the GBHA financial report. Again, Stephanie.
Yep, that was in your packet and nothing real great about that either. We've just started I don't believe the transfer of that $4,000 was not in this because I moved to make that transfer. So that'll, you'll see that adjustment in the next financial report then.
Okay. Okay. All right. Any questions? the financial report? Okay. Then moving on to Langen report. And to be honest, I don't see that in my packet.
No, they just emailed it to me this morning. They forgot to get it to me last week. So
Okay.
the only thing that they noted was that they reviewed 6 applications for Mason Manor and scattered sites last month.
Okay. All right. Any questions? Hearing none, then we'll move on to the director's report. Cheryl.
Yay. And the housing authority is doing some housing. Yay. That's exciting. So, and here's another exciting thing that's going to happen. Starting Monday, our new custodian 2 will be starting, Michael Lemons. So we will be fully staffed.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, knock on wood. So we're very
Yes.
excited about that.
Almost a full year.
It's coming on at a great time because next week we are meeting with Ted Mackham and the Gorman Group. They're coming through, they're reviewing our capital needs for Mason Manor, and they're coming through Mason Manor next week to kind of see where we are, because that capital needs report's old. So they're going to update that. They're going to do our numbers. They're going to go through kind of our wish list, or like our need list, and then our wish list. And then also Gorman is preparing a development agreement. So once I get that, we'll work through that. And then we'll bring that back to the housing authority for approval on that. So
Okay.
he's getting his numbers together right now, which is exciting. We're sending in our paperwork for our section 18, which is, that's the pulling our public housing scattered sites out of the trust, right? Running them on our own. So we got approved for that through HUD. And now, of course, I thought after we got the approval letter, it'd be like, okay, but no, now there's other things we've got to do after that. So we're working on getting that paperwork in. And then we also submitted the Ross grant. Remember, our Ross grant pays for in-house social worker. And that grant, let me see, we're applying for $233,000 of grant dollars for that. There's a match requirement of 25% on that. And our superstar, Jamie Valentine, was able to raise $103,587.
Heck yeah.
So
That's awesome.
I'd say, like, kudos to Jamie. That's a lot of money.
Absolutely.
Thank
So,
you. I hope we get it. I hope we are granted the funding for it because the position is crucial to us.
absolutely. So, yeah, so I think that's all good stuff. That's what I've got for director's report.
Yep.
I mean, that was really fast. I feel like we're hustling.
I have one.
Go ahead.
Not the director, but I have a major situation to report on. So I think 3 weeks
Go ahead.
ago, we had our quarterly bed bug inspection, and we have 0. First time ever.
Yay.
No infested
Great.
bed bugs. So
Great.
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 Jamie and Cheryl, any COVID issues that have come up?
Well, the bed bugs all died from it, so. that's good.
Yeah, that's probably, there you go.
Yeah, great, great.
yep, we have not had any tenants within Mason Manor. We've had a few scattered site families here and there. They've really done their due diligence and let us know, like, don't come here for 2 weeks minimally. We're all tested positive. They hunkered down. So just at random, a few scattered site ones, but Mason Manor, we have not heard of any cases in a couple of
Wow.
weeks, months.
That's
I
great.
know Chantel,
That's-
our service coordinator, is working on scheduling the booster. We did hold a vaccine clinic. Sandy was asking me about that. We did hold a vaccine clinic a couple months ago here. Chantel coordinated that with Shrews. And I know
Wow.
she is working with them to do the booster as well. So we will have that
Excellent.
on site for residents.
Excellent. Yeah, I mean, we gotta try to get some publicity out of that and do a little press release that how good we're doing with all this stuff. So great, very good. All right, any other questions regarding director's report? Here, move on to the occupancy report, which was in your packet as well.
Yeah, so that is in your packet. Within the last few weeks or in the upcoming weeks, we've had more notices to move out than really we've been used to this year. So we do have a few that we are getting ready for move out and just in the normal of turnover, we should have all leased up within 30 days. So far this year, we have had 26 new move-ins, so 26 new lease ups, and we've had 22 move out. So that's across Mason Manor and scattered sites. So it looks like we're going to be hitting the normal numbers, even though we are during COVID, but yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Part of that occupancy will change in that I think the master plan for the developer, for the redevelopment of Mason Manor, is to relocate tenants within Mason Manor. So once HUD gives us the approval, when we get our CHAP and the RAD, you know, they let us move forward with RAD, they allow us to keep units vacant. So then we can assemble vacant units and then temporarily relocate tenants to those vacant units. Then they do an
Okay.
entire floor, and then we move people back up to the new units. So that's master
Right.
plan. But
Very
for right
good.
now,
Yes. All right. Anything further? Any questions for Jamie regarding the occupancy report? All right. Looks like we have none. Now, it looks like our next agenda item is our October 21st date for the next meeting. Anybody got any issues with that? Let Cheryl know, but that's our
because,
next date.
So now we're starting a bonding process. And that means that there are things that have to happen on certain days. They've got it timed to the GVHA meeting dates. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
really, if you can't make the meeting, let me know as soon as you can. Because I need 3 other than Steve to vote on all of the bonding stuff. So I think we've actually got something coming back on October 21st.
I am
right.
super not sorry to be a pain in everybody's butt on that.
Oh, that's good. It's
I
good
was
to
just gonna say something about that, but but thanks, you jumped in ahead of me and saved me from embarrassing myself. So,
have-
all right.
Side man on the, we'll get like real-time updates on the project.
I don't, yeah,
Yes.
I mean, you bet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
our on-site person, so we're good to go.
Let's do this.
What? Steve, Woodhall is going to be coming down.
Well, so eventually they start taking off the inland steel buildings down in the back. They're from like the 60s and they're getting pretty tired. They haven't said which ones specifically.
Like Long, was Donna Long one?
No. So that's of high. Those are all of high. The ones with last names are all of high owned buildings. There's the few like at the northernmost stretch up by Circle Drive that are
Oh,
they're state owned, and everybody calls them the inland steel buildings. I think because Inland Steel paid for them way back in the 60s, and they're crap. They're I mean, all of the housing at that place needs some TLC. I mean, if we're still going on about it, this one's kind of cool because a lot of High's projects have been pretty economical for the intentions, right? And they're old, right? Some of them are mid 80s, and they were not the most robust construction in their time. And there's been some back and forth with the university on the quality of them. So this new one that we're working on is to it's set up to full on Department of Administration standards, which is my favorite, like from a quality of building standpoint. It's not, they don't screw around. So that part is pretty good too, right? It'll be there for a long time and hopefully they get a lot of use out of it. I also have no idea like how the conflict of interest stuff works. What am I allowed to say and what I'm not allowed to be like, guys, vote for this. It's badass. Like I don't.
It's as long as you're not voting, you're good. You can say whatever you want.
Okay.
So
yeah, it's a sweet gig. They're a really good group of folks. I'm thrilled to be able to draw pictures for them, of course.
All right.
I can't believe we're scheduling
And
that.
as soon as I will head down to your office and get the documents signed so you have them all correctly dated. So, all right. Anything further for the good of the order before we close things down here? Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
A motion and a second. All in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we are adjourned. Cheryl, I'll be right down.
Yeah, thank you.
Bill?
Oh, Cheryl, do you want me to respond to